Welcome to KMUZ Theater Talk. I'm Ann McBride.
And I'm Ed Shopes, and we're here the first and third Fridays of the month to tell you all about what's happening in the Mid-Willamette Valley theater world.
On today's program, we'll talk with actor Shilah Tibbets and director Lorianne Schmidt from Keizer Homegrown Theater's production of Silent Sky by Lauren Gunderson.
In our second interview segment, Ann and I talk with Tom Nabhan and Susan Coromel about Theater 33's Summer Festival 2024 that kicks off May 23rd at Willamette University.
And in today's final interview, we're joined by director Karen McCarty and actor Anthony Barghini from David Lindsay Abair's comedy RIPCORD, opening tonight and running through May 11th at the Pentacle Theatre.
But first, let's get started with our Theater Talk calendar. Take it away, Ann.
Albany Civic Theater at albanycivic.org, closing April 27th. Albany Civic is staging The Prom, a musical about four brassy Broadway actors who help a small town high schooler who wants to bring her girlfriend to the prom. Love and acceptance overcome community fears in this feel-good modern musical. You can find out all about it in our KMUZ Theater Talk podcast. And May 17th through 25th, they're doing Carla Boy.
Brush Creek Playhouse at brushcreekplayhouse.com is doing Miscast 2024, a cabaret that runs only this weekend, closing Sunday, April 21st. Go to the Brush Creek Playhouse website for tickets.
Children's Educational Theater at cetsalem.org. Online registrations are nearly full for CET's 5-week summer theater experience for students from grades 3 through 12. Go to cetsalem.org now, or you may miss out.
The Elsinore Theater is at elsinoretheater.com. And for information about local events and touring shows on stage at the Elsinore, go to their website and Facebook page.
Gallery Theater, gallerytheater.org is their website. Next up for the Gallery Theater is Anastasia the Musical, running April 26th through May 19th. Her past is a mystery. Her future is an adventure. From the twilight of the Russian Empire to the Paris of the 1920s, a brave young woman sets out to discover the mystery of her past. With the help of a dashing con man and a lovable aristocrat. Auditions for a pair of one-acts, Trifles and Fool for Love, happen at the Gallery Theater from 6 to 9 p.m. on May 5th. Go to gallerytheater.org/auditions to sign up. The shows run July 26th through August 11th.
Keizer Homegrown Theatre is at keiserhomegrowntheatre.org. And Silent Sky by Lauren Gunderson is on stage now at Keizer Homegrown through April 28th. It's based on the true story of Henrietta Leavitt, a 19th century astronomer. We'll talk with actor Shilah Tibbets and director Lorianne Schmidt later in today's program.
The Majestic Theater is on Facebook and at majestic.org. They are doing Monty Python's Spamalot, and it runs May 3rd through 19th at the Majestic. It's directed by Ashley Barbeau.
Mid-Valley Musical Theater at mvmtheater.org and on Facebook at Mid-Valley Musical Theater. Auditions for their summer musical, Mamma Mia, are June 8th. Check out their website for details.
Pentacle Theatre at pentacletheatre.org. The fun comedy RIPCORD by David Lindsay Abair runs April 19th through May 1st at Pentacle Theatre. It's directed by Karen McCarty, and you can listen to our interview with Karen and actor Anthony Barghini later in today's program. Auditions for the farce murder mystery Clue on stage happen May 18th at Pentacle Theatre. Clue is directed by Brandon Gitchell and runs August 23rd through September 14th. For audition info, go to the pentacletheatre.org website or Pentacle's Facebook page. And the drama Boy Gets Girl by Rebecca Gilman runs June 7th through 29th at Pentacle Theatre. It's directed by Emily Loberg. And Joe Dodge's acting workshop for actors 18 and older is at Pentacle Theatre's rehearsal studio in downtown Salem. For info, go to tickets.pentacletheatre.org or their Facebook page.
The Salem Playhouse at thesalemplayhouse.com also offers acting classes for both kids and adults, and they're held at Keizer Homegrown Theatre. They also hold adult classes at Chemeketa Community College. To sign up, go to thesalemplayhouse.com and click on the Classes tab.
Spotlight Community Theater at spotlightcommunitytheater.org. Coming to Spotlight May 9th through 19th is Much Ado Out West by Wade Bradford and directed by Shannon Rempel.
Theater 33 at Willamette University is at theater33.org and also on Facebook. And Theater 33 has announced the productions for their Summer Festival 2024. Information about the full season of original plays in progress, including staged shows and pop-ups, is on Theater 33's Facebook page and website. We have an interview with the executive director, Thomas Nabhan, and artistic director, Susan Coromel, coming up later in today's program. Opening the season on May 23rd through June 2nd is Appy by playwright Dano Madden, directed by Elizabeth Hellman. Grow, Learn, Play by Sarah Jean Accardi and directed by Melody Irfani runs June 20th through 30th. And Gone by Lolly Ward and directed by Rod Sabalos runs July 25th through August 4th at the festival. The festival also includes pop-up plays.
Western Oregon University at wou.edu/theater. May 29th through June 1st, John Proctor is the Villain will be on stage at the Rice Auditorium at Western Oregon University. That's directed by Risa Fleming.
Willamette University at wutheater.com. Brian Friel's Irish family masterwork Dancing at Lunasa continues at Willamette's Pelton Theater stage through April 27th. Check out our KMUZ Theater Talk podcast for our interview with director Susan Coromel about the show.
Central High School in Independence at casperformingarts.net. Central High School's spring musical Legally Blonde runs May 11th through 18th. Go to their website or their Performing Arts Booster Club Facebook page for showtimes and tickets.
McKay High School is on Facebook at McKay Thespians, and their spring musical Little Shop of Horrors runs at McKay May 10th through 18th.
McNary High School on Facebook at Ken Collins Theater. Shakespeare's classic Twelfth Night runs May 15th through 18th at McNary High.
North Salem High School is on Facebook at NSHS Theater, and Sense and Sensibility plays at North Salem May 23rd through 25th.
South Salem High School on Facebook at Saxon Drama. 12 Angry Jurors is on stage at South Salem High May 10th through 18th. And South Salem's Spring Improv Night happens May 23rd.
West Salem High School is at westsalemdrama.com. Radium Girls comes to the West Salem High stage May 23rd through 25th.
That wraps up our KMUZ Theater Talk calendar for plays around the Mid-Willamette Valley.
Next up, we'll talk with actor Shilah Tibbets and director Lorianne Schmidt from Keizer Homegrown Theater's production of Silent Sky by Lorne Gunderson. We'll be right back in just a moment.
We're talking with Lorianne Schmidt, who is the director of the play Silent Sky, which is playing at the Keizer Homegrown Theatre through April 28th. And she's also brought one of the actors, Shilah Tibbets, who plays Henrietta. Welcome to KMUZ Theater Talk, guys.
Thank you. So happy to be on.
Thank you for having us.
Well, Lauren Gunderson has done it again. This is one of the most prolific playwrights and popular playwrights here on the West Coast. Lorianne, tell us what really sold you on this beautiful story.
Well, Lauren Gunderson has this beautiful series of historical reimaginings based on true stories. They look at historical characters in a new and modern light. And this one is no different than her other ones, just magnificent telling of this really important tale. And as someone who had dreamed from a very small child of being an astrophysicist in real life, this one in particular really spoke to me. Henrietta being an astronomer in her own right and having made one of the most important discoveries of the 20th century.
Shilah, you're playing the lead role, Henrietta Swan Leavitt. She was what was then called a computer at the Harvard Observatory in the early 1900s. Tell us a little bit about her story and what attracted you to it.
The character of Henrietta is representing the real life figure who, along with other women in her cohort, did a lot of data gathering and a lot of work that led to some very important discoveries. Her work essentially made it possible for us to measure the distance between us and things outside of our galaxy. Before her work and before her discovery, there was some question of whether or not there was anything outside of our galaxy. You know, we hear about Hubble growing up and in school, but he couldn't have even made his discoveries without her work. That was the foundation, and it permanently changed our understanding of how vast the universe is. With just her work and her discovery, we could then measure the distance between us and stars that were thousands of light years away. And that just shifted the whole understanding of the universe.
This is such an important story, and I just don't know why it's not more well known, why it's not taught in schools. Could you tell me how the play differs from her life? I mean, her life was many years, and you have 2 hours.
Well, we travel through most of her career life through a series of small vignettes taken periodically throughout her life. Lauren Gunderson created a love interest for Henrietta, and that in and of itself speaks vast volumes to the period in which Henrietta was living and the discrimination against women who worked. If you worked, you couldn't be married. And if you were married, you couldn't work. The two were mutually exclusive. And one of the things that the love interest provides Henrietta is his assurance that even if they continued their relationship and ended up getting married, that he would support her continuing her work.
What time period is this story set in, Lorianne?
The early 1900s, and so it spans about a 20-ish year period. We hear in this story about Einstein's first paper published about the theory of relativity, and we also hear about at her death, where the Nobel Prize committee had wanted to give her a Nobel Prize, but she actually died before all the paperwork got done, and which is really tragic, because she would have been one of the few women who was awarded that award in science.
Well, Shilah, Henrietta Leavitt was a great astronomer, but her struggle was not with astronomy, it was with society and a woman's purpose in life. What do you hope audiences are going to take away from this show?
Well, most predominantly that at its very basis that this story matters. And the reason that it matters is because we have a figure, a hero who, despite circumstances stacked against her and the systems that she existed in, not allowing her to be who she was at her core, not wanting to give her permission to be who she was and to follow her passion. But she insisted anyway. She insisted and she persisted, even with the limitations before her, and ended up essentially changing the world. And so I want audiences to see in this is see themselves in Henrietta, anyone who falls outside of the dominant culture, who is a part of a minority group, doesn't see themselves represented within the field that their passion resides, and know that you can still insist and persist and change our understanding of the universe.
Wow, that's really relevant and important. Lorianne, what is your favorite moment in the show?
There's a couple of moments at the beginning where Henrietta is arguing about even the description of the women who were computers. And at the beginning, they're nicknamed the harem. And her explosion at that terminology is so priceless, because it is everything that I've experienced myself, even in the later years of the 20th century, as being one of the only women in my profession. When I went into computer science, I was the only woman on almost all of my teams, and was still the only person asked to get coffee, even though I don't drink coffee. So I really saw myself reflected in that scene in a huge way. It really impacts me every night.
I just want to mention the success of the movie and book Hidden Figures.
Mm-hmm.
Have you any idea how this relates to I mean, they encountered the same thing.
Yes. Yeah. And they had, the central figure in that also was doubly impacted, because
Yes.
they live at the intersection of their gender and their race. And
Yeah.
so it's really impactful. One of the things that was really instrumental in this particular story is how long this has been happening. Hidden Figures was largely in the 50s,
Yeah.
and this is set around the turn of the last century. And and that women were absolutely brilliant
Yes.
scientists and mathematicians, and were still had to fight uphill. And one of the great lines that Shilah has, or that Henrietta speaks in the show, is, I don't want to raise, I want a chance. And I think that that really sums up the entirety of her persistence. I want a chance to show what I can do, to show that I know what I'm talking about, to show that I matter and that my discovery matters.
Shilah, what's your favorite moment in the show?
I will be honest, it's a very emotional, impactful moment for me. There's a point where in the play, Henrietta and her sister, fictionalized sister, Margie, have experienced a family tragedy. And her sister is wondering in her grief, why does everything change? And Henrietta is trying to explain a new, at the time, theory that things don't change, they just change form, that mass and energy are different forms of the same thing. And she says they shift back and forth forever, so nothing's really gone, it just shifts. And that line will live in my heart forever. I was in one other Lorianne Gunderson play last summer with my husband. We did the Book of Will together, and that's the last play that we got to do together before he passed away. So that was one of the lines that drew me to this story and wanted to get me to act again, was Henrietta herself and her passion and persistence, and also these giant universe-sized questions of what is the meaning of everything if the universe is so vast and we are so small, and what happens when we shift.
Oh, my dear. That is so meaningful.
I don't think I'll ever forget this experience because it's helped heal a lot of things. And also, one of the things I love about Henrietta is that she never gives up, but she learns to accept the balance between discovery of truth and answers and acceptance of the parts that are always going to be a mystery. And that's really, I think, also an important message of the story, is that you have to hold both at the same time.
The play is Silent Sky by Lorianne Gunderson. It runs at Keizer Homegrown Theatre through April 28th. It's directed by Lorianne Schmidt, our guest here on KMUZ Theater Talk, with Shilah Tibbets playing the lead role of astronomer Henrietta Leavitt. You can find out more about the play and get tickets at KeizerHomegrownTheatre.org. Thank you so much, Lorianne and Shilah, for joining us here on KMUZ Theater Talk.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Next up, Ann and I talk with Tom Nabhan and Susan Coromel about Theater 33's Summer Festival 2024, kicking off May 23rd at Willamette University. Stay with us for more Theater Talk.
We're talking with Thomas Nabhan, Executive Director of Theater 33, and Susan Coromel, the Artistic Director, a group that does new plays by playwrights from the Pacific Northwest. Welcome again to Theater Talk.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, Ann. Hi, Ed.
Hey, how are you guys?
Busy. The season is coming up. We're starting a month early this year.
Oh, yeah.
I noticed that. Thomas, tell us what the concept is behind Theater 33 at Willamette University and about your summer new play festival.
We've been doing this for 11 years. We've been staging this summer-long new play summer festival. It's a unique festival in kind of three ways, I think. First of all, Theater 33 exclusively produces new plays. Secondly, we exclusively produce new plays by Oregon and Northwest playwrights. And we employ a really robust play development process in production where we work with the playwrights in residence. We lodge them here in Salem throughout the rehearsal period to either finish their play or get it much closer to being finished. We get scripts submitted from all over the Northwest from playwrights. We do not look for scripts that are finished, and we don't look for scripts that are too rough. We're looking for a script kind of in the sweet spot where it's at a developmental stage where it really needs a full production to see what happens next. And so that's where we step in with the playwright. So we're kind of a playwright's angel in lots of ways. We do 3 plays in the summer that are kind of full productions, one in May, one in June, one in July, and we also do 3 pop-ups, which are also developmental plays, but they're kind of abbreviated. Abbreviated rehearsal, not a lot of production values, but the playwright still gets to adapt the play and do rewrites. And it's more of a concert reading type of thing. There is some blocking, a little bit of maybe sound and a few props. And we do one of those pop-ups each month. A total of 6 plays in the festival. And this year we're starting 1 month early. Normally, for the past 10 years, we've been doing June, July, and August. This summer we're doing May, June, and July and leaving August open. And the reason why we're doing that is because next year, 2025, we are going to have our inaugural regional festival component added in August. Next year, we're going to go May, June, and July with our normal kind of festival for the Willamette Valley. And then we're going to add on the August regional festival. So it's going to be a 4-month festival instead of 3. So what's going to happen in August in 2025? Well, we're going to remount all the plays and we're going to run them in true repertory where a different play plays each night. And we're going to do that throughout the month of August.
Yeah, that sounds really ambitious, really ambitious. I think that's really terrific that you guys are expanding that. Susan, I know as artistic director, you're intimately involved in reviewing and helping to choose the productions that are on the 2024 Summer New Play Festival season.
Yes, I, along with a team of readers, go through all of the submissions. I read everything that's submitted, and then I have a reading team that is divides up the rest of the scripts evenly, and everybody writes a review of the play. And it's not just is this good or bad. It's actually rarely do we list that. We mostly talk about the script draft and the potential for Theater 33 to produce it in our small space, right? So is this something that can be done in this small space, or is this too large a play for us to be able to do? Obviously, you're looking for the plays that speak to us the most of all the plays that are submitted. But I'll just give you an example. We did have a musical submitted this year, and we have produced a couple of musicals in the past, so it's not something we avoid, but we are careful about choosing a play if it's a musical just because of our small space. And this particular musical was about fascinating a group of young people, and they're rock climbing through the whole play.
Oh,
through the whole musical.
I can see set problems. Yeah.
Yes, you would have terrible set problems in our space, but for the right theater space, it would be. And of course,
Yeah.
I write personally to all the playwrights to say, these are the comments that the team had about your play, because I do want them to be constructive in how they respond to the play, so that I can share some of that with our playwrights, and also let them know when they were in the we narrow it down to 12 and then pick 6 from the 12. And so I also want them to know you were in the last round, because they do add that to their resumes.
That's good.
And you never know until the submissions are all in what kind of plays will shape your season.
Well, let's talk about the plays that are shaping this season.
Yeah.
You're opening with AP. Well, tell me about it.
That play is written by Dano Madden, and Dano is currently in the New York area, but he's a kid who grew up in Oregon and Idaho, and is very much fits our depiction of a Northwest writer. And so I encouraged him to submit, and he did. I mean, his play is about a man who's coming to terms with the death of his mother. That's the long and the short of it. It's got a magical element to it, and it's just a beautiful, touching play. And Dano was also named one of the 50 playwrights to watch by Dramatist magazine. So it's exciting to have him. He's going to mostly be on Zoom, but he will be coming in for the second weekend of the show. So that's number one. And then Portland playwright Sarah Jean Akuardi is written a play called Grow, Learn, Play, which is an equally sweet piece that takes place in a daycare center on a snowy evening. And there's one child that hasn't been picked up yet.
Oh.
And everybody's waiting for the parent to arrive. But it's also about people and relationships and how these people get along. And there's a new person who enters the scene that causes some trouble, but it's a really sweet play that is structured around the things we should know about growing and learning, playing well with each other. Our final 3x33 play is a play called Gone by Lolly Ward, who also is a Portland playwright. Lolly's play is about 4 siblings. 2 are full siblings, so there's two from the dad and there's two from the mom, and they're all adults, and they have to divide up the house. So a total of four step siblings. They divide their anticipated inheritance with generosity, suspicion, and greed, is how she writes it. But it's a great play about family dynamics, and what's important and what's not. But it's very entertaining. I would say it's a comedy, dramedy, and the same with Grow, Learn, Play.
I really relate to that last one. I just spent a week with my siblings and their children and their children's children, and I really relate. We are still splitting up. My parents, and they died like 15 years ago.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about what the pop-ups are this year.
So the first pop-up is June 1st and 2nd. A group where Marlene is dead, and about a group of parents of young children. Marlene runs the group and she helps them parent. And one of the ways that she does that is she likes to role play with them. And during one of the role plays, something terrible happens, and Marlene is rushed to the hospital. They all go with her, but they realize they don't actually know her. They don't know who to call for her. And so it's a series of how these folks try to help her, and then we learn about her background and what happened to her. It is fast-paced. It's a tragic comedy. It's about parenthood and relationships and struggling and divorce, fertility. It's all in there. And then the Red Line by Barbara Hume, who is a Seattle-based playwright. This is probably the earliest draft of all the plays that we're working on. And this is about a time when she was growing up back east, about a redlining, and in terms of, where homes are drawn. And
yes.
And so it's a story about these two men that meet as young boys and grow up sharing a backyard.
Tom, you mentioned earlier about bringing these shows into Theater 33's Summer Festival at the right moment in their development. What do you hope the directors are going to take away from their experience developing their shows at Theater 33?
I've written a couple of plays myself, and you get to the point where you've worked on it for a long time and you've done several rewrites, and you get to the point where I just don't know what to do now. I need to hear it. I need to see it. I need a new perspective. It needs to somehow come alive.
More than just a table read, right?
Other than just a table read, right. It's good to hear the words, but when you actually see it happening and the blocking and the actors and their interpretation and other artists working on it, it's a whole new dimension. And it really helps the playwright. It inspires them to dig deeper and to see what needs to be done, and to see what works and maybe what doesn't, or what needs to be meddled with a bit, so to speak. During that process, these playwrights then are able to, from this new perspective, engage in rewrites throughout the whole rehearsal period. So the hope is, by the end of the play, some playwrights will say, okay, I feel this play's done. It's finished. So now I'm going to try and get it produced and get it world premiered someplace. Other playwrights will say, it needs a little more work. I'm not quite sure. And they'll go off and possibly do another rewrite. But our hope is that we will really advance the play much closer to completion or complete it. And so to that end, of the 45 plays we've done so far, 16 of them have been completed and world premiered in 13 cities across the country.
It's very impressive.
One question I have for you, Susan, is I know the playwrights are important to this process because without them, they wouldn't have the plays. But tell us about the directors who are going to take on each one of these projects. Is there a reason why you chose certain directors for certain projects, or do they arm wrestle for it, or what's the deal?
I do make them arm wrestle for you. No. We've been working as partners with Liz Hellman for several years now, and is an important director to us, and she's on the reading committee as well. And so when I ask her what plays speak to her to direct, they're always going to be, whatever those plays are going to be in that first slot because of her schedule with Oregon State University. So that's the big secret about why Liz is always in that first slot. And then Melody Irfani is a Portland director. She's kind of bi-coastal at the moment. She's working back and forth between New York and Portland. And she and I met last summer, and she did a pop-up for us. Oh, she also directed at Enlightened. She did Dear Elizabeth at Enlightened, and that's how I saw her work to begin with. And so I was so excited to get her to work with us, and she loves new works and loves working with playwrights. And those are the kinds of people that you want in the room. It's not just about directing the play, right? It's about working with the playwright to move the play forward. And these directors are always going through rewrites with them and, coming in with new pages every night. So it is a relationship that's important to me, and to have directors who understand that. So our final director in the 3x33 is Rod Sabalas, and he's done several plays with us over the years. So he's coming back. He's a director out of Toronto that flies in and works with us in the summer. The pop-ups, we have a director for Redline, Elizabeth Rothen, who's a company member, and the director for Wife of the Headless Man Investigates Her Own Disappearance is Tracy Francis out of Portland. She runs Boom Arts. So she's something new this year because we are part of Willamette, and Willamette owns the Pacific Northwest School of the Arts in Portland. We have space in Portland to be able to rehearse the final pop-up because that cast is going to be primarily Portland-based actors.
And will you be performing in Portland?
No, we haven't gotten to that point. We've just gotten to the rehearse up there point. and mostly just for the pop-ups, and it made sense because the cast for Yusef Gundi's play is very diverse. And so we are going to have more luck being able to cast it in Portland. And then the director's in Portland, so it made sense. Because there's 4 rehearsals for the pop-ups, so the 4 rehearsals will happen in Portland. Then they'll drive down early on Saturday to see the space that they'll be performing in.
We're doing something new this summer as well. We're collaborating with Northwest Theater Workshop. They're a Portland-based company that strictly deals with new plays as well, so it's kind of a good partnership. They're going to produce a interesting production that's going to be part of our season. It's going to be one of our pop-ups, a 4th one, and it's going to take place at the Hopewell Hub. It's going to be a play called Fragments, and Northwest Theater Workshop is writing the plays. There are going to be 6 short plays based on the space at the Hopewell Hub in different areas like the small house, the garden in the back, the Interstein shop, 6 different physical parts of the actual property. There are going to be plays written about those spaces. They're going to be performed all at the same time, short plays, about 10 minutes. And so the audience will see all 6 plays at the same time, and the audience will then rotate to see all 6 short plays. And this is going to be July 27, 28.
And how do you get tickets for this?
We are a donation-based festival. Go to our website, theater33.org, and reserve seats. And then they can make a donation if they want at that point, or they can just show up at the door, make a donation, or attend for free. It's up to the individuals. But we'd like people to reserve seats so that we know how many we've got coming.
The 2024 Summer New Play Festival by Theater 33 at Willamette University kicks off on May 23rd with AP by playwright Dan O'Madden and is directed by Elizabeth Hellman. It's the opening show of their Summer Festival of New Works in Progress by Pacific Northwest Playwrights. AP is followed up by Grow, Learn, Play by Sarah Jean Acquardi, and that one runs June 20th through 30th, directed by Melody Irfani. Gone by Lolly Ward and directed by Rod Sabalos runs July 25th through August 4th at the festival. Also part of the New Play Festival are pop-up plays, including Group or Marlene is Dead by Sophia Malibi, Redline by Barbara Hume, and Wife of Headless Man Investigates Her Own Disappearance by Yusef L. You can find information for the 2024 New Plays Festival at theater33.org. And thank you so much, Tom Nabhan and Susan Coromel, for joining us here at KMUZ Theater Talk to tell us all about it.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, both of you. We appreciate it.
In our final interview segment, Anne and I chat with director Karen McCarty and actor Anthony Barghini from David Lindsay Abair's comedy RIPCORD, opening tonight and running through May 11th at Pentacle Theatre. Stick around. We'll be back in a moment.
We're talking with Karen McCarty, director of RIPCORD, opening at the Pentacle Theatre April 19th and playing through May 11th. And she's brought one of the actors in the production, Anthony Barghini, with her. And welcome to KMUZ Theater Talk, guys.
Well, thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Hey, Anthony, this is your first appearance on the Pentacle Theatre stage, but you've been very active at Pentacle doing other things as well, mainly stage management work and backstage work, and also working on Hospitality Guild. What possessed you to put on your big boy pants and appear on stage?
You know, I had appeared on stage back in high school, and it was something that I really enjoyed. And when I actually met Karen through my work, I had chatted with her about how I had done previous work with theater and that I kind of missed it. And of course, anytime you have someone who is willing to come in and volunteer, you snag them up. So very quickly got involved with Pentacle. And my ultimate goal doing that was to finally get myself back on stage and to throw that challenge at myself. Because, you know, it's been 30 years. You know, I always wanted to get back in there. So I'm excited that this is the opportunity to do it and that I get to do it with Karen.
Well, all the jobs at community theater are super important because we wouldn't exist without our volunteers, and most all of us that are involved in any community theater are volunteering our time. Are you enjoying your time as an actor as much as you've enjoyed your time doing other work at the theater?
I am. I really have enjoyed it. I will say sometimes it's hard for me to take off the one hat, the stage management hat or the costume side, or, you know, and to keep just the actor hat on. But it's been a good challenge for me, and I'm really, really enjoying being on stage.
We last talked to you, Karen, when you were ready to audition. How did that go? And how is the rehearsal process? And could you give us a little rundown of the show?
Well, sure. The auditions were a lot of fun. I had a good group of people that showed up to try out for this show. The show is about two elderly women who found themselves living in the same apartment at a senior living facility. Neither one of them really want to be there. So one of them wants to have a private room, but doesn't have enough money left in her family budget to afford a private room. And the other one doesn't mind sharing the room, but she would prefer to have the bed by the window. There's more light, a better view. And so they have made a bet with each other to make those things happen. And the bet is to pull pranks on each other until one of them gives and wins the bet. Having a play that has an opportunity for two women of age, if you will, to star in this show brought out some amazing actors to auditions. And I will tell you, it was not easy for me to make a decision. I could not decide at the auditions because there wasn't any single person that just stood out, yep, you're it, this is it, you're the one. There was 6 amazing people to choose from.
There are so many talented actresses at Pentacle.
Absolutely. And I was honored that they were wanting to be in this show and to work with me on my team. And it was just difficult. But, you know, in the end, I'm very happy with the two people that were chosen, and they are doing an amazing job. And then the four other actors that are in the show, they've just formed a beautiful team, and they've bonded, and the rehearsal process has been amazing. Everybody is helping everybody backstage, changing costumes, doing whatever needs to be done to just bring this show to the theater. It's just been an amazing experience.
Well, your two lead actors are well known to many Pentacle Theatre audience members and super good friends of mine. You've got Pamela Abernathy and Deborah Johansson. Which part is which actor playing?
Pamela is playing the part of Abby. She's the one that would prefer to have a private room. And Deborah is playing the part of Marilyn. She's the one that would prefer to have the bed by the window.
So you've got Deborah as the chipper and cheerful roommate against Pamela as the cantankerous one. That's great.
I have three people on my cast that are new to the Pinnacle Theater stage. So as you said, we have Pamela and Deborah, who are very well known to many of our patrons. But Anthony, as you mentioned, is new to Pinnacle stage, not completely new to Pinnacle Theater, but then two other people, Charlie and Alec, had never even been to Pinnacle Theater before, but they showed up for auditions and they were selected for their parts, and they're doing an amazing job. And then Jen Killikelly, this is her second time on the Pinnacle Theater stage.
Anthony, you are playing Scotty, the resident aide at the Bristol Palace Senior Living Facility. Tell us a little bit about your character.
Scotty is definitely a friendly, fun-loving guy. He, really cares a lot about the residents, and you can tell that he builds a special relationship with each one of them. He has definitely a different relationship when it comes to the two ladies. He and Abby are a little bit more sarcastic with each other. They've been around each other a long time and have gotten to know each other. And he's built a quick and loving relationship with Marilyn that's just a ton of fun. And they like to be silly together and have a good time. And it's been fun to play a part where I have to really kind of react to two different characters two different ways, just based off of their personalities. And a lot of times we're doing it at the same time on stage. And so it's been a lot of fun. But he's just a fun character that he really just cares a lot about those residents. And you can tell he's probably been there for quite a while working in that facility and has built lots of great relationships.
What a wonderful opportunity to return to the stage as this part.
Yeah, definitely. It's funny because he's a lot like me in my own regular life, as Anthony, this is me. This is very similar to me. So it was a part that really stood out because I knew I'd get to have a lot of fun and show some of the different sides. I like to have that sarcasm a little bit with Abby and that fun side with Marilyn.
What is your favorite part?
I think my favorite part is I get to have some very emotional conversations when it comes to Abby and I. And it's been fun because it kind of pushes me outside of my comfort zone. I'm not always comfortable having to have the difficult conversations, and sometimes I have to with the residents, especially with Abby. And so it's kind of pushed me outside of it, and it's made it fun to get to play off of Pamela and as Abby, and the way she plays the part. It's been lots of fun to get to play off of that.
So these women, Abby and Marilyn, are kind of at odds, and they end up having kind of a battle of wits and how am I going to describe this? Okay, let me try again. So Anthony, you working with these two characters, Abby and Marilyn, seems like kind of a dance with their attitude of one-upmanship and you as a peacemaker. How does that resolve itself, or what are some of the challenges that your character has in being with these two women at the same time?
One of the big challenges that I had was having the ability in one scene to go from having a more serious and strained conversation with Abby about a situation, and then to very quickly, when Marilyn walks in the room, the change and really within a snap of the fingers become the chipper, happy person that I am with Marilyn. And so it was really interesting to have to like bounce between the two when the two characters come on the set at the same time with me. And it's been fun to get to see that. In the end, I get to have a great situation with both of them, and I get to have a good resolution with both of them, which is great. I really enjoyed that part of it. It was a lot of fun.
And Karen, this is another David Lindsay-Abaire show. He seems to be one of your favorite playwrights. What is special about this show for you? What is the thing you enjoy the most about this show compared to some of the other ones that you've done?
I think the thing that really drew me to this show when I saw it first, I saw it performed in another theater. First of all, there's a lot of funny moments in it. It's entertaining. It was a fun evening for me to watch the show. But there's so much depth to this show. Like, I was relating to the different characters in this show and thinking, is that me? Is that my mom? Is that somebody I know? Am I going to be that person someday? It was really relating to the whole family relationships that happen. And then just watching everybody's relationships grow. Marilyn has only been in the room for a few weeks. Abby has been in that room for 4 years. And they have to figure out their relationship, and just watching them grow and how they figure out how they're going to relate to each other was really, really beautiful. That sort of thing really resonates with me. At Pentacle Theatre, we're all about family. And in my own family growing up, my parents were really all about family and family togetherness. And this show has a lot of that in it. So it just really spoke to me.
What are the physical expectations of the work? Are you doing a set with one bedroom, or how does that work?
We are doing a set with one room, but then we have also divided the set. Downstage are some areas that are outside of what I'm calling it the apartment. So we have the downstage area we're using there's a scene where Abby is reading a book in a park. There's a couple of other scenes that are outside of their apartment. So we're pulling them downstage. We have some real technical challenges and some physical challenges in this show. I think everybody read the script before they came to audition, but I think when we actually got into rehearsals, there was probably some, oh, wow, you mean we're going to be doing this? So it's been fun. It's been challenging. Our technical director, Chris Benham, has really stepped up once again and met all of those challenges. I have somebody who is working on projections who is new to Pinnacle Theatre, and the projections are going to be amazing. I have some other technical people that have done work for us in the past that are helping with some sounds and with some special effects and some special props that we're using in this show that are just really elevating this to beyond just we're in their apartment.
Are you doing the pranks physically?
Yes.
So that must be a challenge.
It has been, yes. And everybody has stepped up and is making them work. And I think once the audience sees them, they're going to wonder how in the world we pulled some of these things off.
Great. That sounds really exciting.
Not to give too much away, but if you read anything about this show online, you'll note that this moment is mentioned. I am really looking forward to the skydiving scene. And we'll leave it at that.
I am very happy with how we approach the skydiving.
So Karen, you have 3 extra actors other than the 2 that you mentioned and Anthony. Who do they play, and do they play multiple roles?
Alec is playing the part of Derek, who is married to Colleen, who's played by Jen Kelly. And Jen also plays what is called the woman in white. So they go to a haunted house and she's the woman in white, and Alec plays a zombie butler at the haunted house. And these are all friends of Scotty's who get together every year to put on this haunted house. And then we have Charlie. In one scene, he is Marilyn's son, Lewis, who is part of the skydiving team. And in another scene, he is Abby's son, Benjamin. He comes to visit his mom. And then in another scene, Charlie plays a creepy clown in the haunted house. So he's all over the place.
Wow, that sounds like a real challenge for just acting ability. That sounds fun.
Yeah, it is a lot of fun. It is.
Well, folks, the play is RIPCORD by David Lindsay-Abaire. It's directed by our guest, Karen McCarty, at the Pentacle Theatre. RIPCORD runs Friday, April 19th through Saturday, May 11th. There are matinees on Sundays, and this season at Pentacle Theatre, there is a special matinee performance on a Saturday. And for RIPCORD, that'll be Saturday, May 4th, for an added matinee. You can get more information about the show and tickets at pentacletheatre.org. Karen McCarty and Anthony Barghini, thank you so much for joining us here to tell us about RIPCORD on KMUZ Theater Talk.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for having us. We had a good time.
It's time to wind up today's KMUZ Theater Talk program. Thank you for joining us. Next week at 9 a.m., you can tune in to Talking About Art with Joel Zack. KMUZ Theater Talk is a proud member of the Mid-Valley Theater Network.
KMUZ Theater Talk comes your way 9 a.m. the first and third Friday of the month on your radio or smart speaker at 100.7 and 88.5 FM, and on your favorite radio app or streaming live at kmuz.org. You can also listen to our KMUZ Theater Talk programs anytime, wherever you get your podcasts.
Ed and I will return May 3rd with a brand new KMUZ Theater Talk program. Meanwhile, check out our KMUZ Theater Talk Facebook page for news and updates about live theater in the Mid-Willamette Valley.
If you haven't yet joined in to support Theater Talk and the rest of KMUZ's great community radio programs, go to kmuz.org right now and click on the Pledge to Your Favorite Show box and choose KMUZ Theater Talk. And thanks. Until next time,
We'll see you in the front row.